He's Derek.
Fuck it. Fuck you. Fuck this. Fuck that. Everyone can go fuck themselves.
She's Romaine.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and all you other fuckers too. Just fuck it all.
This is Derek and Romaine.
2.0, bitches.
Fuck it. Fuck it.
Hey, let's fuck it. What? Hello, Derek.
Oh my God, Romaine, this is
What?
so aggressive and hostile
What?
given the delightful conversation we're about to have about Broadway.
I know.
With singer Klea Blackhurst. We're going to talk about her many shows that she is doing here in New York City coming up. And we will talk about her deep love of Broadway and Broadway lore and all those things. And unlike when we talk about old movies with the title Queen of the Movies, at least Romaine Patterson has seen some Broadway show.
I mean, that is true. I have seen a few Broadway shows here and there. I do love a great Broadway show. It always brings me good joy when I get to go see a show. I wish I had more money so I could afford to go see them more often, frankly. But, I see what I can.
They are a little pricey.
Ooh, these days, yeah. I mean,
I mean, you are paying for a live performance with an orchestra, usually with a musical, whatever.
Yes.
So there is a reason that they cost a lot of money, but
I get it.
it is, especially if you want to drag your complaining daughter along with you and your wife, then, that's a lot of dollar signs.
Why would I want to do any of those things? Why?
But when people come to New York, there are, various apps. They have the TKTS booth in Times Square, but they have companies like Today Tickets and whatever. There are ways that you can get good last-minute deals on tickets to Broadway shows.
Sure.
So obviously, if people are coming to New York and there is a very specific show they want to see, they should make, a particular part of the theater that they want to sit in. Some people are like, orchestra only, please. They want to be right there on the ground level. Other times, people are just like, I'm here for the experience, and I don't care where the seat is. But, you can make your ticket purchases in advance for those kinds of shows. But if you're coming to New York and you have an afternoon or an evening available, there's usually plenty of last minute tickets available for a variety of shows, and the Broadway shows, generally speaking, are pretty good. I mean, if it's really bad, it's closed pretty quickly. Like it doesn't take long for the word to get out that a show is a stinkeroonie.
Right.
And so if you are coming to New York and you look at the opening date of the show, if it has been open or in previews and open for more than, 2 months, it's probably good.
Yeah.
I mean, if it looks good to you, it probably is good. But because a lot of stinkeroonies close, what they used to dub a turkey because it would open at Thanksgiving and close immediately.
Right.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble, indeed.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a turkey in a long time, though. I tend to wait and see if a show's actually going to be good before I'm willing to, go and see it.
I have seen some shows that were not good. Now, remember, I had a friend who ran a theater, and he would have me come and close shows that were bad.
Yeah.
Because he considered me the Broadway cooler. And I'm not quite the cooler. I don't know that I'm actually a cooler so much as those shows sucked and they were going to close on their own. But I have seen some, not great shows. And part of it is sometimes it just does not come together.
Right.
Like they did a musical of Johnny Guitar, and I found it disappointing. No, it never went to Broadway. This is like an off-Broadway thing.
Right.
And Johnny Guitar is a Western that Joan Crawford made in the 1950s. It's as campy can be. It's her versus Mercedes McCambridge.
Right.
And what bothered me about that, the musical that they did, was the movie has only one famous line and moment in it.
Okay.
And in the movie, it's Joan Crawford is squaring off against Mercedes McCambridge.
Okay.
And they're on a staircase because, as Mike Nichols pointed out, the women confronting each other on staircases is like a classic Hollywood trope.
Right.
One woman is on her way up, the other woman is on her way down. This is why, like, mothers and daughters fight on stairs all the time.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, in the movie, Joan Crawford is on the stairs and Mercedes McCambridge is there. And Mercedes McCambridge says to her, "I'm gonna kill you."
Oh.
And Joan Crawford says, "Not if I kill you first."
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
This is it. This is the big confrontation of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Until they actually have their, like, gunfight square off later. Okay. And in the musical version that they did, they had fucking music score. Like, the music went up over the lines and buried the lines.
Oh.
And it's like,
what?
This is
the line.
only, this is all anyone is here for. Why are you swallowing this moment whole? Oh, I was so mad. I almost stood up and booed. Like, I was infuriated about it.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah.
That's like the "No One Ever Leaves the Star" line. Like, if you played the music too loud over that in Sunset Boulevard, I'd be furious.
Yeah, the way they did it was basically the curtain was coming down, the lights were dimming, whatever, in the middle of the line. Yeah, it would be like that. No one ever leaves the star, and the curtain is dropping, and the lights are dropping, and the music is going up halfway through the line. Like, what? What are you doing? Why are you killing this moment?
Right.
So there was a reason I had to cooler that show. It had to go. And then I know that it is a little bit sacrilegious because she's dead now, but Valerie Harper did do a show where she played Tallulah Bankhead, and I did not think she was good.
Mm.
And I was quite vocal about it.
Right.
Because she did not get the laugh right.
Gotcha.
If you're playing a famous person, because this happens in movies sometimes too, when you're playing a famous person, there's always a fine line between embodying that character and a caricature.
Sure.
And some performers, like, say, Betty Davis or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or as we discuss with Klea Blackhurst, Ethel Merman, performers who have long careers sometimes can become parodies of themselves.
Sure.
People have an expectation about them, like Ethel Merman was very loud, or Betty Davis was, like, throwing her arms around or whatever and being very affected in her speech. And that's how drag queens would interpret her. And then she started basically doing the drag queen interpretation of herself as time went on.
Mm-hmm.
And so this can happen sometimes with performers, especially when they move into, like, a camp space, right?
Right.
And Tallulah Bankhead was about as campy as they get. And was somebody that drag queens imitated a lot and whatever else. So it's tough. You're fighting against the sort of drag interpretation of somebody who is already an over-the-top figure.
Right.
But at the same time, Tallulah Bankhead was known for very specific things. Her voice was deep like a foghorn, and she had a very distinctive laugh. And especially the laugh. Because if you can't get that right, because that's not really like a parody thing, but it's like a very specific thing. And so she looked like Bankhead, and they had lots of they posed her a lot on stage, so she looked like Tallulah Bankhead. But
okay,
it was not that good.
No.
But also sometimes it happens with these things because Tallulah Bankhead was very witty.
Right.
The show just becomes a grab bag of catchphrases that she had used over the years. And then it's not really like a performance of the person.
Right. Gotcha.
It just becomes a greatest hits album.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway. But I know how you love Sunset Boulevard.
I do.
They just announced recently that the current version is closing this July.
Oh, no, that sucks, because I love this current production. I really, really love it.
Yeah, I have to imagine that because there was some controversy around Nicole Scherzinger last fall.
Right.
And I suspect that has hindered ticket sales.
Which is unfortunate, because her performance is, politics and other shit aside, her performance is astounding. It is so good. It is so fucking good.
And it's a stripped down show.
Yes.
So I'm not really sure why they can't cast other people in the show and keep it going,
Right.
post. Because I can understand saying, oh, she's leaving the show, as soon as the Tony nominations come out, announce that she's leaving the show.
Right.
And announce maybe somebody that, somebody that audiences might be excited to go and see, who is either a known TV and movie star,
Mm-hmm.
maybe like a Anne Hathaway, right? Or
Right.
Emily Blunt. Emily, they can sing and they're famous. And even if they only did the show for, 2 months during the summer or something, it could be the kind of stunt casting that could keep the show going.
Yeah, maybe.
And so I'm kind of surprised that they're not doing something like that. But, anyway, so if people want to see that, you got to hurry because it's out mid-July.
Mm. Well, that makes me want to go see it one more time before it goes away.
Yeah. But there is another revival that is coming to Broadway this summer that maybe people will get excited about.
Oh, what's that?
Mamma Mia.
Oh, they're bringing Mamma Mia back?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, people did love that show, but I feel like, when did it close? I feel like it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long
It probably
ago.
was long ago, and I'm just so oblivious.
I mean, it might have been, it might have been like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Because remember, it was playing at the Winter Garden.
Yeah, which is a huge barn of a theater, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, it's like a 5,000 seat.
Yeah, you have to be a gigantic show to fill that theater.
Yeah. And they've tried to do it. They have struggled because Cats was in there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cats closed. And then Mamma Mia went into it. And then Mamma Mia was in it for a really long run,
What
too.
show do you think currently on Broadway could go into that theater and actually maintain it? Any?
Right now, I don't know. Like at its peak.
Like maybe Lion King?
Maybe. Although they moved Lion King.
Maybe Wicked right now?
Maybe right now because of the boost in ticket sales for Wicked. Because Wicked is in not a small theater.
No, it's in a pretty big theater.
Yeah. And The Lion King for a long time was in the New Amsterdam Theater, which is another big theater. That's the theater that Disney owns. And then they put Aladdin in there, and I'm not really sure what show they have in the New Amsterdam right now. But that is a pretty big theater. They put Mary Poppins in there. But, more recently they did the Music Man revival with Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster. That was at the Winter Garden. And they opted not to keep that show going after Hugh Jackman left because it was such a barn of a theater and there wasn't going to be another actor who would draw crowds like Hugh Jackman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is a legitimate movie star, but also, even before he was a movie star, he was a legitimate Broadway star because he was on Broadway he played Curly in Oklahoma in the 90s.
Okay.
And so he is a very well-known, very respected Broadway performer. And he also can bring in, fans, movie fans.
Right.
And it's very rare that you have somebody who can appeal to both audiences, sort of jaded New Yorkers, and also people who come in from out of town who want to see a show and a star that they know. Because like Sutton Foster is a huge Broadway star, and I'm sure people loved her on Bunheads, but she's not the kind of household name that Hugh Jackman is.
Right.
But she is somebody who is very well regarded among Broadway people. And so you have so she's like Patti LuPone in that regard. I mean, Patti is nationally famous, but she's not, she's not a movie star the way that Hugh Jackman is. So anyway. But yeah, that's a tough theater. Do you have any idea other than like Wicked?
I don't know. I mean, that one's a hard one. Because I don't know.
Because like Hamilton and Book of Mormon are both still doing really well on Broadway.
Yeah.
But Book of Mormon was purposefully put in a smaller theater on purpose.
Right. Because
it was a monster hit, immediately sold out. And there was a lot of pressure on them to move to a bigger theater. But they were like, no, we want to, it's just like us with our cruises. No, we want to keep the audience artificially small because it will keep the demand stronger for longer. And that is a strategy that has paid off because Book of Mormon has been running for I don't even know how long now, 14, 15 years, like a long
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, it's been a really
And
long time.
continues to be a sellout show, like
Yeah.
a 100% sold out show. So that's really what you that's what you want. You want
Yeah.
a show that can run for a really long time
And has a proven track record.
Yeah.
And sells a lot. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I think Lion King is the best of all the current Broadway shows. I feel like Lion King is the most tried and true, and people will always go to see it because where there are kids who watch Disney movies, there will be an audience for Lion King.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And it's such a spectacle show. I mean, and honestly, it probably could benefit from a larger stage. Versus like a smaller stage square footage. I haven't seen Lion King, so I don't honestly know how much square footage it needs on the stage, but I imagine bigger is better with a show like that because it's such a spectacle with all the costuming and all that crazy shit. But I don't know.
Because remember, they put, after Mamma Mia closed, they put Rocky the musical in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it had like a big, boxing ring because, of course, there was a big boxing finale and everything. And they tried to do it because that was sort of they thought they could bring in men with that show because it was such a tried and true, like, male baby boomer property. And plus the lead guy that they had was hot.
Right.
And so they thought maybe that would bring in the gays and the ladies. And I think the theater was just too big.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's tough, but we'll see. I don't know what theater Mamma Mia is going into. I would imagine that it will go into a smaller theater. But if the Winter Garden is available, I feel like they are almost certainly are popping into like the theater that Sunset Boulevard is in, just because I don't think there was an expectation that show would be closing in July,
right.
And it probably was an unexpected opening there. But also, like, a Mamma Mia revival feels like the kind of thing you keep in a, break glass in emergency situation.
Right.
Of we can do this anytime. Like, we have an open theater and nobody else is ready to go. We'll drop this revival in. It'll be really easy to put together.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really need a star because people are psychotic about that show.
Right. Yes. They sure the fuck are.
I mean, I liked it. Did you ever see it?
No. I never did.
It's not amazing.
Okay.
But like, every song in the show.
Right.
And if you saw the movie, you know the story, and it's a sweet show. Like it is kind of the quintessence of a show that when people come from out of town and they want to go to Broadway, if they've never seen it before, it's going to feel familiar anyway.
Okay.
It's why they do these jukebox musicals, because people are already going to walk in knowing the tunes. And you leave the theater feeling good.
Mm-hmm. And that's really ultimately what you want from a Broadway show.
Right.
So,
well, you are going to leave feeling good when you hear our interview with Klea Blackhurst. That's coming up right now here on Derek and Romaine.
DNR 2.0.
Derek here, along with Romaine, and joining us now by phone, it is singer and actress Klea Blackhurst, the second season of her year-long box set series featuring 5 different concerts at New York City's Chelsea Table and Stage is going on now. Her next appearance, when you hear this, should be Autumn in New York, Vernon Duke's Broadway on April 13th. But she has other dates coming up throughout the rest of 2025. Tickets and information are available at chelseatableandstage.com. And, of course, you can check her out on the web. She is KleaBlackhurst.com and Klea Blackhurst on Twitter X. And her first name is spelled with a K, Klea.
Correct.
Klea, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having a conversation. It's very exciting. It's real showbiz here. I love it.
Oh, yes, it's very showbiz. But look, we love talking about entertainment. Also, your show and you as a performer feature some of my favorites.
Yes.
So we definitely wanted to have you on here so that Romaine could be exhausted by discussions about Jerry Herman and Ethel Merman. like
Mhm.
Oh,
guaranteed.
good.
Yeah.
Those are the bookends on the season. We earlier the Jerry Herman. We tried that one. We did that one in February, and it makes me kind of want to do that one every week. It's such a jolt of optimism and positivity. You know, I mean, he's just such a great. He was built for times like these, difficult times, and you know, so that's kind of what I do is like try to put a little hitch in your step, you know, with happiness. So
Yeah.
Well, we definitely need that right now.
we
And
really do. We really do.
And I share your enthusiasm for Jerry Herman. I think of there are many great composers, obviously, who have worked on Broadway over the decades. Many incredible songs and shows. But I think, like you, I keep coming back to Jerry Herman because the songs are pretty and joyful and lovely. There's just something. He really does, I think, try to convey, pure entertainment to the audience in the show and feeling and heart. Like that when you leave a Jerry Herman show, you feel good at the end of it. So
That's right. And
yeah.
that was his purpose. That was all he was there for, you know? I mean, that's what he believed in. Although, in addition to that, what I'm finding in particular with that show, and it's just one of 5, but they're all worth talking about. So this is,
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a series. This particular one, I find that even when Jerry was writing about things that are sad, challenging, heartbreaking, there's always a little radar. I picture in an old movie like the radar screen, and there's the little ping of optimism that comes through, the little blip of like, boop, we're going to be okay. Boop, we're going to be okay. And that I think was his real gift. And sometimes we get so caught up in like the busyness of the song. You know, a song can be very brilliant and use a lot of words to say a lot. And Jerry Herman, along with Irving Berlin, I think was just a master at saying more with less intentionally, just simplifying it, bringing it down. And the few words say so much. And I really think that's a gift. It attracts me to his work as well over and over.
Yeah, I think, you have something like, we need a little Christmas right this very minute. It just is, it immediately tells the audience everything that they need to know about the moment. Because we've all been in situations where we need that feeling. Like that Christmas morning feeling.
Yes.
And so I just think he's so good at being able to convey sort of the simplest ideas and notions and feelings through a song, which I think is what's important about music in a musical.
And I love that you pick that song because I go to bat quite often. I don't do it in this show because I actually do have a show that takes place in December, usually a Christmas concert with some other people. And I usually sing it there. But I think We Need a Little Christmas, actually, if you listen to the lyrics, makes more sense in July than it makes in December.
Right.
Because it's saying, do all this now because I need it. Before my spirit completely falls, do it now, And that is a message. When you really look at the lyric, no, we need it all the time. We need a little of that right now, this year, this day, this month, and it just turns out, we're not anywhere near December the 25th, and that is actually the purpose of the song if you pay attention. So, I love that you picked that one. Good choice.
I did, but I love because I saw the revival of Hello Dolly on Broadway with Bette Midler, and I know you have been in Hello Dolly yourself. And the most recent Broadway revival of the show, it really felt like a religious experience, and I have very rarely felt that kind of electricity in the room with a show.
Agree with you.
And it was, but it also was like, obviously how enthusiastic the audience is, because as a performer, having an excited and enthusiastic audience is a huge boost when you're on stage. If it's raining outside, people are bringing the rain inside with them. So the audience helps a lot. Like the enthusiasm of the audience, the cast was obviously thrilled to be there. But you could have those two things. But if the show sucks itself, if the foundation of it's not good, you're in trouble. But Hello, Dolly, it's just such a fantastic
You want to be able
show.
to deliver on that.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. I just, that's another one. I love that you picked that image, because I have never felt so excited as the anticipation going into the theater at the Schubert for Hello, Dolly. It was just like the thrill of like, we're going to see everything come together. Like, we're going to see the person we love in the show we love with the music we love. It was almost, I'm not being blasphemous here or literal, but it was almost more exciting than the show itself, was the anticipation of it did deliver on it, but that anticipation was just thrilling. And you can't bottle that.
Yeah.
I would like to, though. Let's bottle it.
But a friend of ours who was in the chorus when Carol Channing did the show in the 90s, he came away and he said, everyone in this show is better than they need to be. And I think that you really felt that, that like, because the material is obviously doing a lot of work, but everybody was there really like, we are going to give you 157% here. And, even though people were, I'm sure, coming because like, oh, Bette Midler's a big star, we're coming to see a big star. And it's like, nope, everyone is going to be a star in this show and show you how great everyone can be.
You're right. And that was a real tour de force of like an ensemble. The ensemble is out, but David Hyde Pierce on through sweet Gavin Creel and Kate Baldwin. It really was exciting to be there. Yeah. No question.
I agree. But, and then, you have such incredible songs. And like, I also, love Gavin Creel. He was just the absolute loveliest person. And, like all of us, I miss him terribly because he was just such an incredible talent, but also just, a deeply felt person. So, but, with It Only Takes a Moment, such an incredible song and such a great showcase for him as a singer and a performer. But also just like just an absolutely stunning, Jerry Herman song.
It really is. It's a beauty. No question. So let's go from there. That was the beginning of my box set season.
Yes.
Right.
And then we go all the way to November with somebody whose name rhymes with Herman, which is Ethel Merman.
Yes.
And that one is another, and Jerry Herman comes up in that show too, because a lot of people don't realize that Ethel Merman was the original choice. She was the first offer that went out to play Dolly Levi. And she turned him down. She was ready to be retired. And she didn't. And Jerry Herman wrote a score for her with her in mind, her voice in mind.
Wow.
And so there were two songs that were never used in Dolly that when Ethel Merman did become the final Dolly in the Broadway run 7 years into it, they put the two songs in. And so here's this little treasure trove of two songs introduced by Ethel Merman on Broadway, but in Hello, Dolly, a show she'd had nothing to do with until 7 years into the whole adventure. So that's where they, maybe you can tell about me. I'm like a musical theater historian who performs what I find as opposed to writing books about it. I just love this stuff. It lights me up. So from Jerry Herman to Ethel Merman, that's what this that could be like. That could be like, I don't know if I need a tombstone yet, but it can go somewhere if you want.
But, it's wonderful that you are highlighting Ethel Merman because I am a Merm's fan.
He is. He really, really is.
And, and I understand because I remember when the Producers was opening on Broadway And Mel Brooks had sort of like a first-person thing about like going to Broadway, and his uncle, I think, was a cab driver, and so he had to like hide in the cab because it was illegal to like drive a cab without a fare in it and not be open for a fare
on the floor or whatever.
Right, and went to see Ethel Merman, and they were way in the back of the theater, and he thought she was too loud, and I was like, blasphemy! How dare you?
I know, it's a terrific. Actually, I have a whole gigantic, loose leaf folders where with the plastic pockets, and I keep stuff in. And that article, you're right, that ran during the build up to the producers opening on Broadway in 2001. That article was such a great one, and I have it right here and refer to it on occasion because it's a great image. A little baby Mel Brooks, curled up on the floor of a taxi cab on his way to his first Broadway show to sit in the last row of the balcony and think this broad's too loud. It's perfect. Everything about the story.
Yes. But I think that what gets lost in the discussion about how loud Ethel Merman was, because she was, and they didn't have microphones then. So
you kind of had to be then, didn't you?
If you were going to be in a barn like the Winter Garden, you had to have a real voice, to reach everybody. And
that's right.
But her ability to carry over a song, her diction, so that if you're in the back of the house, not only are you hearing her, but you are understanding everything that she is singing.
Are you sure you're not? I teach a master class, a singing master class. Like, are you sure you haven't been in there sometimes? Because that's exactly, you have landed on exactly what I believe is the case. We don't have a signed contract as performer and audience until the sound leaves my mouth and you hear it. And then most importantly, you have to understand it. So you've arrived at exactly what diction is about. So many people will stand, as soon as it leaves their mouth, they're delighted with themselves. And they think the deal's done, like you were so lucky to get to hear me. But I'm not lucky to get to hear you unless I actually hear the sound wave and it's been broken up into meaning and I understand it. Then we have a deal. So you have landed on, don't drop a nickel in me, I'm telling you. You've landed on exactly what one of my main philosophies is as a teacher, as a performer, and as an audience member. I get turned off a little bit. I may be loving what you're doing in a show, but if I can't understand you, it will turn me off.
So I have to tell you, I totally agree with that sentiment. And even now when I go to Broadway, there are performers that get up on that stage and they sing beautifully, but I don't understand a goddamn word they're saying, and it drives me insane.
Yep, you're right. I do too. I have exactly the same experience. And then especially when it receives high praise and so on and so forth. And I think it makes me frustrated because I think I might agree with you in the praise category if I could understand. It's one step away from me loving it because I can love everything else about it, but I get mad about that aspect of it. I just think it's a missed opportunity for live performance. It's so challenging, unless you are somebody who can fill Radio City or something like that. It's a challenge to get people, I had somebody ask me once, why should I come see your Ethel Merman show? Like, nobody knows who Ethel Merman is or whatever the things they say that like make me mad. But then I decide not to be mad because you know what? Why would a young person know who she is? We don't play those songs on the radio. No,
True.
I used to get mad on the Ethel Merman issue until I went someplace and as we were having a conversation, this particular group of people also didn't know who George Gershwin was. So it wasn't a deeply personal against Merman. It was a real gap in knowledge. And I thought maybe my job, maybe part of why I'm here on Earth doing struggling through this whole thing is to be that bridge for people. If you've never heard the glorious double entendre of Cole Porter, just the joy of doing, a song like But in the Morning No, which is just a silly double entendre thing from Du Barry Was a Lady that she did with Bert Lahr. The young people were like giggling and they kind of put their hands over their mouth like, oh my gosh, that's so naughty. But I realized, like, they've never heard double entendre because their world has no entendre. They have pants down around their, they go down past their bottoms, and they're walking around with that. There's all the, everything is so laid out that the idea that you would hold it all back and only let out a little at a time is positively revelatory to a young person. So why should you come see me to answer that question when I don't know about Ethel Merman? You should come see it because I'm doing it. It's like there's an opportunity to see it. I'm somebody who's alive, passionate about it, put something together, and wants to share it with you. And that's really the only reason somebody should they should just embrace. That's the only reason it's being offered. I'm alive. She's dead, but I'm alive. And then just to go back to this series a little bit, because this has been really fun. But the Jerry Herman opened it. These are shows that I'm revisiting from the past 20 plus years, and my shows tend to take a long time to put together. I don't do a show every year, every so often. Because I do a lot of theater also, so I try to plug into different, parts of my life, concerts, these solo shows, and theater pieces, and whatever else artists do to make money. I don't mean prostitution; I mean television commercials and stuff.
Yes, of course.
Which is a little form of that, but you know how it works. It occurred to me that there are these great shows that I have. I've done the Merman show over and over the years because it was very popular and people really seem to love it. So that's been asked for a lot over the years. But there are other ones, the Jerry Herman, the Vernon Duke one, I'm going to be doing right around the corner. People they really say, I don't know who Vernon Duke is. I don't care. But you do know Vernon Duke. If you say Autumn in New York, April in Paris, Taking a Chance on Love. And I was particularly attracted to him after spending years working on Ethel Merman's career, doing research. Ethel Merman is somebody I love. You'll love this, and I'm sure you know it, that she had nothing but hits. She never had a flop. Now, in the 1930s, those shows only ran, 6 months a year and so on. They weren't like Phantom coming for 30 years and not leaving. They were, but those were hits in that day and age. And so she has this like blockbuster knocking one ball out, one home run after another, her whole career. And then here comes Vernon Duke, who his great passion is the American musical and wanting to write a hit. And he never has a hit show. But the songs that come out of it, like April in Paris, taken by Count Basie, turned into this enormous hit. All this stuff, they live way, way beyond him, but they all started out life nestled in a tremendous flop musical. And these were stinker. I mean, these are things that did not have any life in them, these shows. And not because they were maligned. They were actually bad or had terrible luck or any number of things that happened to them. So anyway, I love this kind of stuff. I'm glad I have a cohort in Ethel Merman. I'm glad you love Jerry Herman. It's the best part of my day so far. Actually the best part of the week so far has been talking to you. It's great.
Well, good. Well, just to put a button on the Merm, I did want to mention that in Gypsy, which was one of the shows that was written specifically for her, but there is a small sweet song in there, Small World, which I love. And I love her interpretation of it, too, because, she is perceived as just this power belter singer that can be heard in the back row and everything. But I do think that also one of her great sort of underrated skills was she could do a song that is a sweet, small song, but still be able to project to the back of the house, sort of a stage whisper of a sing. And that is just something that not everyone can do.
They definitely can't.
and so I think it's probably
you're absolutely right.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of why her career on Broadway went so long. And the people who saw her in person, other than Mel Brooks as a kid, really, loved seeing her as a performer because they always knew no matter what the song was or where they were sitting, they were going to get the full experience.
That's right. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think she must have been absolutely thrilling in person. And that, you and I'm not exactly sure how old you are, but my generation.
Oh, he's a baby. He's a baby.
extremely
Just
How
a
dare you? I'm
top.
29. How dare you?
Okay. Well. Okay. Well. Listen. So you didn't actually grow up in real time
No.
watching. When I was a kid, we were watching her in her late 60s, 70s, sing. Going on Johnny Carson, singing disco and whatever. And it was great, and we loved it. We got a kick out of her. There was a slight, kitsch factor going on at that point, which is fine. I'm not even saying that with no judgment whatsoever. But what you have to remember is if we're talking about her in 1981, 2, 3, you have to remember this is somebody who becomes an overnight sensation in 1930, at 20, 21, 22. That becomes, you have to stop. I'll tell you here's a great test that you can tell somebody to do. If you listen to the original 1946 recording of Annie Get Your Gun, it is a completely different experience than the 1966 Lincoln Center revival. Meaning that if you say, in 1966, she's everything we're ready for her to be as a maybe a butt of a joke. So they say that falling in love is wonderful, that thing.
Right.
In 1946, all that is there, but it's not that yet. They say that falling in love is wonderful, right? It's all there, but it hasn't gone over the edge. And it's the same voice. And you think, Annie Get Your Gun, we think of as early Ethel Merman. That's 1946. That's actually her 9th Broadway show.
Wow.
So it's not early. She's not a young kid. She's in her mid-30s, and she's a huge star. So, yeah, I find her endlessly fascinating. You'll have to come over sometime. Did you watch, I made a series during the pandemic called the Ethel Merman Playbill Project. It's on YouTube. Where I realized in my collection, people give me stuff all the time because I think you like knowing. I have one piece of Mermania, the memorabilia. I'm going to give it to Klea. She can keep all of it, so I have all of it.
Oh my God,
But
that's amazing.
I have every one of her playbills, and so I did an experience going through each playbill, and the culmination of each playbill is her biography, her bio, and they're hysterical how they evolved through the years, not just in terms of her, but in terms of like what we would have gone to the theater, sat down, opened a playbill, and read about somebody. They're hysterical. So go look those up on YouTube. The Ethel Merman Playbill Project.
Yeah, Derek, you'll like that.
You'd love it.
Oh, I
You'd
will.
actually like it.
Yes, I'm going to
You'll love
become obsessed, I'm sure. Klea, so you've done so much performing all around the world, and you've been in many very storied venues, from Carnegie Hall to the London Palladium, the Royal Albert Hall, Jazz and Lincoln Center. So as a singer, do you have acoustically a favorite theater or venue?
That's a great question.
That you have performed in? Thank you, Romaine.
Yeah. I like that question.
Because I know some of them
That is a great question.
are like have terrible dead spaces, that kind of thing. So, but do you have a favorite?
If we took, it's such a good question because my instinct is to say the Albert Hall in London because it's so, it's like 7 boxes up high. I don't know how to say it. 7 stories that go around with an audience all around it in boxes. And it sounded great, but I tend to not say that. It was a glorious experience. It was also at a point in my career where it was absolutely terrifying. So there's something, I think my spirit got reconfigured seriously on that gig. I was playing Ado Annie in Oklahoma at the Albert Hall for a concert, BBC concert production. And that feeling of your voice filling it up the total, like we live for that as performers, just like the vibration of it was thrilling. And then it was also being filmed, I guess I should add, because that was part of the terror, right? It wasn't going to be edited into something. It was going to air live. So it needed to be good. And there was something when I looked back at the tape, I think, I can't say no, boom. And you see the look on my face, which is sheer incredible joy, which it was. And then you see the camera switches from my face to what I'm seeing, which is a full Albert Hall. And every time I see it, my stomach drops a little bit. I go, oh, it's like so. It was the highest of the high to the lowest of the low. But I will say the sound was incredible, and I would love to go back comfortable in my skin doing my own show or something. That was a great hall, and I do think Rose Hall at Jazz at Lincoln Center is really fun, really beautiful, and I love the acoustics in there. And I just did, you know what, right now, I wish you could see me right now. I'm wearing the Ask Me About My Carnegie Hall Debut t-shirt that my friend Doug gave me for Christmas, because I finally sang, I finally played what you think of as Carnegie Hall. I did it just this year for the first time.
Wow.
That maybe is it. Let's pick that one. I did the Follies concert. That was absolutely. I played Zankel Hall, which is the medium hall downstairs. It's beautiful and very modern. I've done that a couple of times, and so it's said on my resume for years and years. I played Carnegie Hall because I have. You don't want to get. I played Carnegie Hall, but Zankel, the one downstairs, that's kind of modern. You don't want to put that in your bio.
Right.
But finally, starting up the big famous one. I did it this year, and that was thrilling. So
wow.
let's make it Carnegie Hall because we're New Yorkers and we know Carnegie Hall. How about that?
I love it.
So
I'll go with that one.
So I am curious now that you brought it up about the Royal Albert Hall, about stage fright. So have you, what is your comfort level on stage? Does it depend on the venue, the audience, the material? Is it something that's gotten better or worse over time? Because like Barbra Streisand has talked about the fact that she hates going on stage now. Like her stage fright got much worse as she got older.
That's interesting.
Other people become more comfortable over time. So I'm curious about your own personal experience here.
My own feeling about stage. First of all, I do study voice and I teach voice. I coach people, And one of the things that's absolutely true is our body, it does not know the difference between performing and being chased by a wild animal. Do you know what I mean? The body feels the same about it. The brain has to say, you know what? You're just going into an audition room, have fun, sing the song, you're prepared, just relax. That's what my brain has to tell my body, because my body is really in a fight for its life. And you have to say, really, it's not that serious. It's going to be okay. So for me, anytime that I have felt super, super kind of glib and comfortable, it has not gone well. And that's true from years back. So I welcome the kind of nervous energy of it. And I try to live by my personal motto on this is, when the time to perform has come, the time to prepare has passed. And so I live my life in a state of preparation so that when the time to perform comes, I can sort of trust, like, you know what, we're going to get through this okay. We're ready for this. And even if I have to mess up a lyric and and, or make a joke of it, or it's clearly a mistake, but I laugh and apologize, or laugh and, are you guys okay? Whatever. As long as I'm okay, an audience will be okay.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I do get nervous. And yes, I do still experience that. And based on my young history of feeling like I had the world on a string and going out and you're like, that actually didn't go that well, I've gone ahead and embraced the nervousness. Now, I have a theory on, and it's completely like people, I don't know if people will yell at me about this or not. One of the reasons I think Streisand has such a hard time would be she didn't keep doing it.
Right.
Right? So she does the Broadway thing, then she goes away, she becomes a movie star, she becomes Barbra Streisand. The one thing she has not done is kept up the feeling of putting yourself out there. She is so invested in the judgment that we'll feel about her, that she's let that take away this glorious opportunity that we've all wanted along the years to like see her do it live. She's turned it into this big, awful thing for herself that has just made her pull the opportunity. She just doesn't do it.
But don't you also think part of it?
A lot of people want to do it.
But don't you also think that part of it is, you know, as you age, your voice changes, and sometimes for the better and sometimes not. I mean, don't you think part of it for her is that her voice isn't what it once was?
Yes, I do think that, and I would agree with you 100% instead of 70% or 50%, because this has kind of been her stand on performing live for many years.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the awkwardness of like the voice itself that's the deciding factor in this for her. I think she's just decided her feelings, you know, and I'm not her. Obviously, they're overwhelming, and I think it's great she's been in a position where, you know, I've heard people say she doesn't go perform unless she wants something in terms of like she needs to buy something or do something different. She'll go back and make some money to accomplish it. And that's great. You know, I mean, I wish I was in that position. Like,
sure.
I really ought to get myself some new shoes. Let's go do it. As opposed to, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Marilyn May. Have you talked to Marilyn?
I don't think so, but yes, I am familiar with her. Yes, of course.
That's who you should get as a guest. Tell Dan I said so. Get Marilyn May on here. She will be, and will very publicly tell you, she's going to be 97 in April, and she's performing with no appreciable difference from when I met her in her middle 70s. In 2005 is when I first met her. Now, this is someone who is the inverse of what we're talking about. She has been performing since she's 12 years old, and she has never stopped. I can tell you right where she is today, teaching, and I'm sure she'll have a run at 54 below this year. She's somewhere, literally every night, she is somewhere performing, and this is someone who's going on 97. So that stage fright has converted into, now I don't know what she experiences about her voice. All we do now is look at it. She sounds incredible. There's no like, well, you know, she is older now. No. There's none of that. It's still, but I think that's the thousands and hundreds of thousands of hours of just doing it, which Streisand, sort of, I don't want to be, you know, deprived herself of. She didn't stay out there doing it, stepping through that fear. Yeah, it sucks. And I feel bad for her because Streisand's voice is one in many, many generations. It's completely singular, the talent that she has. Yeah. So I watched those early CBS concerts, her specials. She's 19, 20 years old. I don't know where you learn how to sing Sleeping Bee as a 19-year-old with that kind of meaning. She's a phenomenon. And I really do feel sorry for all of us sometimes that we didn't get to see that talent mature. Yeah. I know it's, you know, I know it's in there, but that's not how we have all our movies instead, which is a great gift.
Yeah, her career just took a different. Her career just took a different course. Yeah. And I mean, you know, she brought great joy to people for decades with the path her career took. Yes, it would have been if she had Ethel Merman's career where she had just done Broadway for 40 years. I think it would just be a very different career. But also, you think about how much of Ethel Merman's contribution is lost because of the era that she was in and so focused on live performing versus Barbara, where so much of her career will be forever.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And we're very lucky that Merman comes in right at the beginning of movies, because as bad as, I mean, her movies in the 30s are not good movies, although Call Me Madam, she is so cute in it. I can't even stand it. But at least they're on screen. At least they exist. And especially in the 30s with Merman, you can see some of the stuff she does that I believe in newspaper write-ups, reviews and so on from the 30s. It'll talk about how she has a twinkle in her eye, like her eyes flash. And I've watched these movies of her, and I think what she's doing is because she does it in the movies a little bit, which is weird in a movie, okay? But it would be
Yeah.
perfect on stage. She looks right to left and back to right very quickly again. And I'm sure, like this was really fast, and I'm sure that in the lights on a stage, the white of her eye makes a flash. And I think, thank goodness we have that on film so that we can go back and experience what little we have of Merman. It's not the same as what she was on stage, of course, but at least we have it. And then I think to like the names that we only hear about, you know, Sarah Bernhardt or Nazimova, or the people that we hear from the era before, Laurette Taylor, holy smokes, the original Amanda in Glass Menagerie. Every actor you ever come across who was of an age to be able to see the Glass Menagerie will talk about Laurette Taylor being the most important, amazing performance they ever saw. We literally have one screen test that exists for Laurette Taylor where you hear her voice for maybe less than 1 minute.
Wow.
And you see her. So that's just an example of like it's ephemeral, like acting is, like theater is. It goes out and it's gone. It is built for that moment that you experience it, which is a great honor when you've experienced it, you know.
So let me ask you this, Klea, because you're talking about all these voices of a generation and things like that. And these are people from previous generations, but who now? Who is that person right now that we should be watching that is the voice of this generation?
Because I think Kelly O'Hara is exceptional in her acting and the range of where it goes. I don't know if I have to think for a second because I'm sure I'm going to walk away and go like, oh, for heaven's sake, you know, because careers aren't really built like the careers we're talking about anymore.
Right.
In other words, Broadway shows, they don't really want star-making performances that come out of them because then when the person leaves, the show went with it, you know,
right.
And people aren't willing to make the shift to the next person.
Well, they're also not writing. I mean, there are definitely some shows that are written for some stars. Like I'm sure a lot of, you know, up and coming, you know, composers and things would love to write a show for somebody like Audra McDonald, who is a incredible Broadway star. But, you know, it's very different from the era when Ethel Merman was dominating Broadway, where every year somebody was trying to write a show for her. So she was able to maintain a very long Broadway career with a long string of hits.
That's right.
Because people were specifically writing shows just for her. And there is not the same, the composers are not trying to write shows for stars these days so much as, to your point, writing shows that will have good longevity, that will have long tours, that will have many revivals, and shows that are written very specifically for one star, as we saw with Funny Girl. Like, you know, a star, it was written for a star. She so nailed it that nobody ever wanted to revive the show again. And so
that's right.
So I think it's just that the business has changed a lot that prevents that.
Yes, nothing about the economics of theater lend itself. You could never ever experience another for exactly what, just to re-articulate what you just said. The business doesn't exist like that. In other words, Merman can have a Broadway career with 13 shows that are all hits based on the definition of a hit, right? Now, remember, in the 30s, we don't have air conditioning. So as a rule, theaters would close during the summer. It was too hot in there for the performers and for the audience. That's why there was that vibrant straw hat circuit, and you had stars going to Cape Cod and Algonquin, Maine, and, you know, on through this whole little circuit of places that were cool in the summer or had trees, and like people went for vacation to get out of the heat. So if a show ran from the fall into the next spring, that was a hit. And if it was a big hit, you might come back in the fall and start it up again and keep it going. You know, there was a musical called Good News where Button Up Your Overcoat came from that and so on. That kept coming back. You know, that ran for like 4 years with significant gaps in the middle where we just didn't have shows in the summer. Now, nobody understands that dynamic today. You can't say, well, Merman's, that ran, let's take Annie Get Your Gun, 1,147 performances. that's a drop in the bucket to something like Cats or Phantom of the Opera.
Sure.
But also, you can't keep the same person in Phantom of the Opera for 30 years. You can't. So if you had a big hit with Phantom of the Opera, you would then have to be the person who leaves and has an equally big hit with Name the Show. And that's just not how it's built anymore. And it's also not how the name recognition. We know the names, but the general person at large doesn't know our biggest stars on Broadway, I don't think. I mean, the middle America doesn't. Because I'm always explaining why I didn't get such and such job or another. And I said, well, they wanted a star, And I name who got it. And they'll be like, well, I don't know that person. I say, I know, I don't either. But that's okay. But we all know that person. So it's okay. But that's kind of how we roll. It is a completely different model, and it's so expensive now. I mean, you can't really blame the producers. Is a great case in point. When Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick left, do you remember? It's like the numbers went off a steep cliff all the way down.
Yeah.
And when they invited them back, like after a period of months, they came back for a short time, the numbers went right up through the roof again. It was very specifically based on people loving the idea of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. It's all fascinating.
Yeah, but it is also a challenge, when because it is rare now where you have a show where the stars that come in when the show opens are so, like, the chemistry of those stars is so iconic that it is very difficult to overcome it. I think Book of Mormon had some difficulty, but in finding other stars that could fill that. Fortunately, I mean, the show is so hilarious, and the theater is small, and so it was impossible to get a ticket for years and years of the run. So I think they were able to withstand that. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, you wouldn't want to open a show like The Producers where it's so dependent on the stars, or even what happened with Bette Midler in the revival of Hello, Dolly, and then put it in a very large theater where it will be a real struggle to keep that show going.
Honestly, I was shocked, I tell you, that I was so disappointed that they did not have just a long line of iconic women ready to go.
Right.
That was the original model for Hello, Dolly. I was shocked that Patti LaBelle wasn't ready to go for a 6-week run. That it wasn't like that was what the model was, and the show had been held back. Now, for the record, I think Bernadette Peters was so exquisite in it because she understands Broadway. She's done so much, and she's such an icon of whatever. She's so wonderful and so unique, and she understands Broadway. She's like she's a musical comedy genius. So when she replaced Bette Midler, that was terrific. Now, the fact that they couldn't get the tickets from that's another question. But aside from her being a fabulous next replacement, I couldn't believe they had held the rights back for so many, many, many years on a revival. And then when it comes, they weathered the Bette Midler part and then closed up the tent. I couldn't believe it. That really, really shocked me because as we started out our conversation, it's such a piece. It's just built to please. Right. So, and somebody said to me, well, the economics of putting somebody else in there and rehearsing everybody and da. I'm like, look, that's showbiz. I don't want to hear that as the excuse. It's like, that was very disappointing to me. I don't care how expensive it is. Get me another Dolly. So
yeah, but also anyway, a show like Hello, Dolly could, because in the original run, a long list of former MGM contract players and Broadway stars filled that show for years. And I definitely think we don't have the same bench of talent that they had in the 1960s. But even still, Hello, Dolly could have run the way they have been running Chicago for the last 20 years.
I was just going to say Chicago. We're the same person. Get out of my way. Get over to my house and have coffee with me. They have figured that out over there.
Yeah.
Right. And that's to sort of my disapproval. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sort of like I'm agape sometimes at what's happening over there. But it works.
Yeah.
It works. So the fact that a really wonderful that Hello Dolly couldn't have a deeper bench. The bench there is a bench.
Right.
I don't know how deep it is, but it certainly didn't seem to me to be a less than a year bench. So that was kind of a disappointment. But it was exciting to go in the theater.
It was.
Yeah. Really
and
good
it has
stuff.
been exciting talking to you, Klea. I love
call me
your-
anytime.
I love your commitment to Broadway and the history of Broadway and continuing what Anthony Kennedy called a conversation across time. And by keeping these composers and stars and shows over the long history of Broadway alive through your performances, and I hope everyone comes out to see your box set show at the Chelsea Table and Stage.
Thank you so much. It runs all the way. Through
November
November.
16th.
We end with the Ethel Merman one.
Yep.
Yeah, November 16th, and we have one coming up in April. So get to them. I think people will enjoy them, even if they're like, I don't think this is my kind of thing. I will make it your thing.
I don't doubt that for a second.
And you'll enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So thank you both. I really appreciate talking to you. It's great.
Of course.
Absolutely. Our thanks to Klea Blackhurst for being with us. Be sure to check out Box Set, the second season of her year-long series at New York City's Chelsea Table and Stage. You can get tickets and information at chelseatableandstage.com and, of course, on her website, KleaBlackhurst.com, and that's Klea with a K. She's also on Twitter X, Klea Blackhurst there. You're listening to Derek and Romaine. Well, there you have it. The end of another perfect episode of Derek and Romaine. And if you want more great fun, go to dnrstudios.com and subscribe to get our show every day. And don't forget, for DNR Plus subscribers, you can use the DNR Cast app for iPhone, available now in the App Store.